Okay, cheap ass low effort intro, here we go! I am Ninja. My parents are the heaven and the earth. My home is my body. My power is loyalty. My magic is training. My life and my death is breathing. My body is control. My eyes are the sun and the moon. My ears are sensitivity. My laws are self-protection. My strength is adaptability. My ambition is taking every opportunity with fullness. My friend is my mind. My enemy is carelessness. My protection is right action. My weapons are everything that exists. My strategy is one foot in front of the other. My trust is in Kwon. My way is the way of the tiger. Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry, and it's time to hopefully complete Book 1 of The Way of the Tiger. Now, I know, I mentioned saying, hey, you know what, I'll take a little break and make a start on House of Hell. But I did originally intend to finish this book before starting House of Hell. And last night I just sat down to make a start on House of Hell, and I thought, you know what? No. I want to get back to this point in The Way of the Tiger again. So I played through the book again, and unfortunately Rolls was a little unkind to me, so at 1 or 2 points oh, that's odd. Yeah, that's all good. At 1 or 2 points I had to resort to using real dice, which is great. I love the old tactile feeling there, but it's not as visible on screen for you guys. But eventually I've made it back to this point. And here we are. I repeated my path. I did explore a few side paths. A couple of auto kills. I failed to throw the pirate captain 4 times in a row, at which point his men dumped a great big net on me and took me prisoner. Chained me to an oar to be a slave, and because I didn't have the skill of escapology, I was trapped there for the rest of my days. I also once again failed to punch the young magician, which results in an automatic death. But apart from that, made it back to where I was. I did check Iron Albion, as opposed to just going round the western coast, the Sea of the Star. Heading through the troll fens was very dangerous. There was a uncalable troll and a shoggoth. Punching the shoggoth within a force would cause the troll to go, bloody hell, I'm not going to mess with that guy, and run away. And then I could go to an Albion where there wasn't a lot going on, but I would get to meet the beautiful sorceress with the cat's face paint on the ship on the way across to Druath Glenan. She would warn me not to go sleep where I slept on my other playthrough. But there's no indication that she would necessarily... I don't think she comes back again at any point during the adventure. So I stuck with my original path because it involved a lot less damage and just, you know, burying under the floorboards. And we are back outside Quenchheart Keep. Well, underneath Quenchheart Keep. Having ventured inside again, scouted out the place, got all the information I got last time, and headed down to encounter the Elder God. The massive 15-20 foot tall creature with chains around its ankles and a horn on its head, which is mysteriously missing from the artwork. But there we are. This will be a very challenging fight. This will possibly be the toughest fight we will have before the end of the book. And there will be a few tricky dice rolls as well. The huge monster lumbers towards you, and you can see that it resembles a great hairless ape. It is chained at the ankle with massive iron links so that it can only reach the entrance of the cavern. The entrance to the cavern. The great areas of hanging skin reveal enormous black muscles taut with power. Will you use the winged horse kick, the iron fist, or the dragon's tail throw? Now, I can't remember if I both punched and kicked last time, but I think that doing one of these resulted in me having a slightly lower defense. I'm not going to try and throw it. The dragon's tail throw is sliding along the ground between its legs and twisting the legs to try and catch him off balance. Here's the thing, right? The manacles and chains are adding a weight to the legs, which will make it harder to destabilize. However, for all of those of you who may be interested, Dragon's Tail Throw, 349. Not taking this option, but just showing it off. You slide beneath its feet, but cannot move its colossal legs. Instead, it collapses on top of you, driving the breath from your body and crushing your rib cage. Suddenly, the beast, whose sense of smell is acute, lunges and impales you on its horn with its massively powerful arms. You are still twitching feebly as it begins to feed on the entrails which have spilled from your body. Yes, that's right, that's an auto-kill just waiting to happen right there. So, I've proved myself right, and shown you all that auto-kills do exist in this gamebook, and they are pretty grim sometimes. Okay, I'm going to go for the kick, because I have a +1 kick modifier, and this thing has a lot of health. Speaking of a lot of health, I should probably use a point or two of inner force during this battle. So, the beast tries to grab you in a crushing embrace, but you somersault towards it, under its grasping hands, and roll to your feet, delivering a winged horse kick as you do so. Its defense is 5, so I only need a 6 to hit. With +1 for my kick modifier, takes that down to a 5, so now of course it's going to roll a 3 or 4. Hey, that's a 6, that's a hit! And I did say I was going to use a point or two of inner force, so there we go. 1 point of inner force use. And I'm saving this because there was a bit of a weird thing where the character sheet from book 2 seemed to have replaced the character sheet from book 1 before I started recording, and it was mercifully not the case, but for some reason, even though I was in the correct folder, it was opening the wrong file. It was just bizarre. Right. So, 1d6 plus 2 damage, 26 health is a lot of health. Why do I have 22 written here? I don't know. 26 is a lot. I didn't throw a ninja star at it to soften it up, did I? I don't think so. No, I've only got the one used that I threw against the ogre. Okay. Well, 1d6 plus 2 it is. Doubled. 4 is 8 points. Takes the horrific monster down to a mere 18 endurance. At which point, it's still alive and tries to grab you and impale you on its horn. Your defense against this is 7 as you try to leap back beyond its long reach. Blocking and kicking may very well be the answer here to staying alive. Okay, how does it do? Oh, that's horrible. Okay, time to block. That is a failed block. That's going to really hurt.
because this thing has a really dangerous horn and did 7 whole points of damage. Now, health. I have 13 endurance because I was greedy and said, look, I've still got the bag of healing herbs, which will heal 8 points. I've only got 7 points of damage, and surely the monster won't do 13 points too quickly, and I can heal up after this fight after being nearly dead. I was wrong, wasn't I? Okay, let's see. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep kicking, blocking and kicking. So, kick. Yes! I should have said inner force. I didn't. So, just a straight damage roll. 8 points is good enough. Takes him down to a much less mighty 10. However, the beast retaliates, trying to gouge me on his horn. Oh, that's bad. I got to try and block. I successfully block because I needed to roll under the defense to block. It goes over defense to hit. I go under the defense to block. Defense is always a failure, whether I'm being attacked or blocking or attacking them. Right. So I will kick again. 5 plus 1 from kick modifier is a 6, and I didn't bloody say using a point of inner force, so damn it, I don't get to use it. I really keep meaning to, but 5 points. Okay. On an average kick, I can finish it off as long as it doesn't finish me off. So a monster goes for another horn gouge. Oh, I tried to block. No! Okay, this is bad. And that's a death. Right there. Okay. Deaded. Deadified. Now, because that is really nasty, and it is a sort of nearly endgame fight, I'm going to run that again. But this time, I'm going to be sensible, and before I fight it, I will use the bag of healing herbs to give myself a decent chance. Yes, I'm missing out of 1 out of 8 points, but guess what? It keeps me alive. Yeah. Right, run fight again, because that's going to be fun, isn't it? So, I'm going to kick with inner force. I'm going to say it this time like I mean it. That is a successful kick. 1d6 plus 2. Doubled. 5, 10. Takes it down to 16. It's gonna try and gouge because it is a nasty horn gouger, not a price gouger. 5 is not enough. So I will kick again, no inner force this time. I don't think I want to go below 2 points of inner force at this point. That is a successful kick. I will have my 1d6 plus 2. 4 points of damage, takes him down to 12. Well, him or it. I mean, I don't really think you want to try assigning gender to a thing the size of a double-decker bus that's intent on flattening you into the ground. What's more important at this point is not being dead. That 8 is going to hit. I will attempt to block unsuccessfully and receive 8 points of damage. Now those 8 points I can reasonably take. It takes me down to a 12. I believe, right, because I attempted to block, I've got -2 to hit, so I will not attempt to use inner force. I will kick once again, successfully. 1d6 plus 2. For 6 points, taking him down to 10, at which point, if I'm still alive, I think inner force is the way to go. 2d6. He does not land a hit. So now we're going for the inner force kick. So we're going to drop this down to a 2. And kick. Hack away! Yes, absolutely. 1d6 plus 2. Please be at least a 5. 7 is 14! We have felled the brute! At last. I should have clearly used the healing herbs the first time round. But we're so near to the end, I'm pushing on. Sorry, guys. Okay. The beast is slain, 309. You have slain an immortal, delivering orb from one of the beasts which roamed the world before man came from the stars. Breathing deeply but silently, you pass by the fallen hulk to the edge of the inky black underground river which fills the castle moat. The only way onwards is to plunge into the icy waters. You slip into the water and dive down into the chill depths and find that your head hits rock above you before you have surfaced. You swim powerfully along the underwater... No damage for that, so more of a gentle bump than a clonk. You swim powerfully along the underground tunnel for a minute before light shimmering above lets you know you can surface at last. As you do so, a man's scream fills your ears. A young boy, chained to the wall, goggles wide-eyed at you but says nothing. You have surfaced in the torture chamber of Quench Heart Keep. A ducking stool hangs above you, and the insomniac torturer is still at work, applying a red-hot iron to the flesh of a man who hangs by chains from a roof. The torturer has a large axe in his belt, and his broad, heavily muscled back runs with sweat in the heat of the brazier filled with glowing coals. He wears heavy spiked bracelets of leather and the black hood of an executioner. Will you hurl a shuriken at him before ducking under the surface, or leap out of the water and attack? You know, this looks like a good time to throw a ninja star. So let's do that. 282. Still a bit further. Okay. In the wink of an eye, not the blink of an eye, but the wink of an eye, interesting turn of phrase there, you have buried a throwing star in the torturer's back and disappeared below the inky black water. Staring out from beneath the surface, you see the torturer turn in pain and then threaten the boy with the red-hot iron, and the boy points to the water. The enraged torturer turns his hooded face towards the water and, seizing his axe, runs screaming to the pool. You erupt from the water and unleash another shuriken which takes him in the arm before he hits the surface. As he gasps in pain, use the tiger's paw to knock the axe from his grasp and wrestle with him as you sink into the black depths. He is strong, but no match for you underwater. You have trained for this and use repeated cobra strikes to pummel him into helplessness, the water barely lessening the speed of your blows. The torturer floats lifeless to the surface, and you drag yourself, gasping, into the torture chamber. There are several prisoners, and they implore you to release them, and, seizing the opportunity to create diversion, you do so, asking only that they wait to the count of 200 before following you out of the chamber. You will note that at no point in this section am I informed that I am unable to recover my ninja stars, and there's no time to do so. So I do get them back, so I'm back up to 4. That's very useful because having 3 left for the final showdown with Yeomon is very useful. Right, 270. A steep stairway winds up from the torture chamber past empty cells. You emerge into a hallway within the great keep itself. A spiral stairway winds upwards from the opposite side of the stone hallway. If you are skilled in picking locks, or not, well, I have for the whole adventure had the skill of picking locks and disarming traps, knowing that it would come in useful at one point in the keep. And you'll notice they call out the picking locks part of the skill and not the disarming traps part of the skill, despite the fact there's no lock evident. So, 215. As you carefully inspect the ground over which you will tread on your way to the staircase which may lead up to the turrets, you notice that the large flagstone before you is raised slightly above the others. Scanning the walls around you, you see a crack outlining one of the blocks of stone. Edging this open reveals a twin crossbow trap, which you deftly disarm by lifting the iron bolts from their place before crossing to the staircase. You glide up it without a sound. Now, based on old memories, that trap deals a lot of damage. It's not an auto kill, but it's like in the region of 6 to 8 points, I think. It might be 4 points, but it's a lot of damage. And we are now heading into the end game where we need all our resources. And if we had taken the skill of climbing instead of picking locks and disarming traps to get this far, then the climbing would have allowed us to avoid some dangers and would have made certain things easier, would have allowed us to avoid some random dice rolls. However, it would have left us vulnerable to auto-kill by the Snake Man if we had tussled with him. However, so argument could be to skip immunity to poisons and replace that with climbing instead. So that would have left us vulnerable to auto-kill by the Snake Man in 2 separate combat encounters. If we had avoided the Snake Man and headed north through the wilderness to fight the 2-headed giant and gain a +1 punch modifier, and then head straight on for Togawa the Mystic without knowing that he existed, heading to the mountain pass where he was, and then going, oh, what's that cave up there? Let's go see, which feels a bit odd. Then we wouldn't have needed immunity to poisons, but we would also not have gained the essence of Fire Newt, which could have been used in this later portion of the game. There's an option to try and sneak into the castle and use the essence of Fire Newt so the frogs won't stop croaking as you crawl through the swamp to get to the castle, and the guards don't notice that you're coming that way. I think it can possibly also be used in later books as well, but don't quote me on that. However, going through the dungeon this way, I believe helps the escape from the castle in Book 2. And also, heading into the arena and getting the essence of Fire Newt means I meet the monk who tells me about Togawa the Mystic, and I have a reason to go to that particular mountain path and learn the Kwon's flail kick, which is really useful in the upcoming portion of the adventure. So, gliding on up the stairs without a sound. Also, I'm glad that we disarmed the trap so that when the prisoners break out of the prison and make a whole ruckus, they won't blunder straight into it and get injured. Hey look, there's another picture. Looks a little bit like Ian Hislop, with a bigger top on his head. As you mount the staircase, you see the open door to the banquet hall and creep past the locked doors of the dreaming household. At last, the moist wind is about you again as you peep out over the top step onto the flat roof of the keep. The 3 turrets, surprisingly large now that you are so close, still boast their flags, which are faintly illuminated by the glow of a charcoal brazier. With his back to this stove, with his back to it, it's right there in front of him, with his back to this stove is the captain of the guard, clad in black armour. Every now and then he patrols the battlements from one turret to the other before returning to warm himself at the brazier. So then why does he turn his back to it? That is with his back. That is just weird. He has taken his helmet off and is standing in the gloom in the glow of the coals. Will you wait till he is beside the low battlements and attempt to throw him over the side? Use a shuriken aimed at his head. Creep up behind him and use your garrote wire. Or, if you have the skill of poison needles, will you use one? Right. This is tricky. So there's some thought to this, right? Throw him over the side of the wall, he might scream. Throw a ninja star at him, it could miss, could completely miss, could fail to kill him instantly, he might make a lot of noise. Creep up behind him and use the garrote wire. It's hard to scream when you're being strangled. So that's what I mean, the poison needles would probably drop him without him making much of a noise. I'm going to have to go for the garrote, which hasn't actually been used yet. And it's nice to put it into action. Also, yeah, flash powder was used. Oh, that also reminds me. The fight with Olvar the Chaosbringer, where Runeweaver, the warrior, grabs the magic headband afterwards and threatens me with his sword and says, you know, don't you dare try and stop me taking this. I did point out how selfish he was being and greedy, but also, actually, that accounts for the possibility that if we had neglected to help him in his fight with the Birdmen, then his actions in claiming this item would be much more understandable, given how cowardly we had been. Right, so, anyway, garrote the guard. Yes, we will sneak up and strangle him with a cheese wire. All deadly and quiet-like. As the wind whistles around the turrets of the great keep, there is a sudden keening howl. For an instant, the hairs on the back of your neck prickle with fear, until you realize that it is nothing but the wind howling through an arrow slit in one of the turrets. The captain looks startled, and you choose this moment to steal up behind him. He is alert and seems to sense you at the final moment. Make an attack roll as you lower the garrote wire over his head. So this is an attack roll, it's not a fortune roll, or a fate roll. Which means it's not going to be modified by anything. Looks like I'm needing a 6 or more, and I really shouldn't have said that before rolling, but hey, let's see. 12! Nice! Failing that roll is probably an auto-kill, because basically if he sounds the alarm, we are dead meat. Basically, if Honoric and Yeoman and Mance the Death Mage become aware of our presence, it doesn't matter how well we're handling the guard, they can mess us up. I mean, Honoric has never been defeated in combat, Mance the Death Mage uses awful death magic, and Yeoman is, of course, a martial artist, just like ourselves, and a very accomplished one at that. Right, 178. Attack rolls are good if they are high. That's great. The captain ducks, but he is too late, gurgling helplessly as you draw the wire ever tighter until it slices through his windpipe before lowering his corpse gently to the floor. You notice that each of the 3 turrets has an archway leading to a spiral staircase. Which turret do you climb? The turret flying the Sword of Doom flag, the turret flying the Scarlet Mantis flag, or the turret flying the Black Whirlpool flag? Right. The Sword of Doom is Honoric, the commander of the Legion of the Sword of Doom. His magic sword can prevent Mance the Death Mage, represented by the Black Whirlpool, from using his foul sorcery against us. And the Scarlet Mantis, of course, is Yeoman, who we are sworn to defeat as our big final enemy. So, we have a list of priorities here. We're gonna go for Honoric. Absolutely, yeah. You cross the roof of the Great Keep until you are below the turret which flies the flag of the Sword of Doom, then climb upwards, silent as a mouse. The staircase within is lit by several torches fixed in brass brackets on the wall, and at its top is a heavy oak door. Above the door is a narrow space, just large enough for you to crawl through, which leads to a dank attic. Will you carefully oil the hinges of the door before opening it, or examine the attic to see if you can spy on the occupant of the chamber beyond? So yes, carefully oil the hinges of the door so it doesn't creak and wake him up when we sneak into his bedroom, or go up into the attic and see if we can spy on him from there. See if he's asleep, maybe he's praying. Who knows? He appears to be lying in bed, and his sword here is drawn. I don't believe that's blood on the tip. It's too regular, and it's more of a shadow. Well, that is a broad-chested man with reasonably wide shoulders, and interesting rolled up sort of pillow underneath his head. Come to think of it. You jump up and swing from the hole which leads to the attic, then squeeze through into the planks beyond. Testing for loose boards, you crawl carefully to a crack in the ceiling. A single candle burning in the chamber below gives just enough light to see by. Honoric is asleep. His arrogant features seem less cruel than in his waking hours, and his mouth is open, and he snores gently. His great sword lies unsheathed beside him. You cannot spot any traps in the chamber. If you would like to pour your single dose of the blood of Nil poison down a waxed string into Honoric's mouth, turn to 229. If you prefer to get back down to the staircase and go in through the door after oiling its hinges. So, that is an option that has already been presented to us. This is a new option. I recall as a teenager coming across this section and thinking, yes, letting the liquid run down the string and then drip into his mouth is a really great innovative way of delivering the poison. I hadn't seen Thunderball, okay? I hadn't seen that James Bond movie, but I just thought this is the sort of thing a ninja would do, and you use the string to direct the poison rather than just trying to drip it from the hole overhead itself. And I really like that, and I thought, I'm going to go with that option. So I'm going to go with that option now, especially as he is a really powerful warrior who may be able to best us in combat, even if we catch him asleep. So, 229. You unfurl the length of waxed string until it dangles just above the mouth of the Marshal of the Legion of Doom. You uncork the gourd which holds the blood of Nil, mouth of the void, the most virulent poison known. It steams as the black beads run down the string and drop into Honoric's open mouth. He goes rigid, and you know that he is helpless, dying of suffocation as his chest is paralyzed. You have assassinated the Marshal of the Legion of Doom, one of the most powerful men of Orb. Will you go down into the chamber and take the smoking sword Sorcerak? Absolutely yes! But first off, I need to mark off the blood of Nil. An extremely rare component which may take some books to replenish. I believe because it is offered in later books, it can be used. But it's going to be difficult. But yes, we are absolutely going to claim Sorcerak. 154. The oak door grates slightly on its hinges as you enter Honoric's chamber. The fumes of poison curl like a snake from his mouth, and overcoming the fear that emanates from the black blade, you grab it and leave the chamber as quickly as you can. Grab, not grasp, taking care not to breathe until you are safely outside. You tie the great sword to your back and climb out of the turret window. Which turret will you climb up now? That which flies the flag of the Scarlet Mantis, or the one that boasts the Black Whirlpool banner? We are going for the Black Whirlpool because Mance the Death Mage operates in very much a supporting capacity. He's not exactly going to stride out to fight us. He's a skinny man. If the three of them get into a fight, then I imagine Honoric and Yeoman would do the fighting, and Mance the Death Mage would cast spells. So, we are absolutely going for him next. You cross the roof of a great keep and enter the turret which flies the flag of the Black Whirlpool. With Sorcerak at your back, you climb to the top of the turret. The staircase is lit by an ominous green luminescence, and you see a red eye hanging disembodied in space at the top of the stone steps. It glows, and the white of the eye is horribly bloodshot. It seems to pop suddenly and disappears as you climb the last steps and throw open the door at their top. Mance the Death Mage, still clad in his black cloak which accentuates the pallor of his features, rises from the bed as you enter. The fear which emanates from the eldritch blade of Sorcerak sets his white hair on end. His hair's supposed to be white? Wow, looking at these pictures, I always thought you had like black, lank hair and a sickly sort of light green robe. He mouths a spell, but nothing happens. You throw Sorcerak to the floor before him, and he shrinks back. His eyes glow red like the one which you saw outside the chamber. His voice is a low hiss as he threatens, "Kill me, and that fell sword will take your soul." You ignore him, and he tries one last spell as you advance, but Sorcerak dispels the magic as a bolt of fire leaves his mouth, and you throw him easily to the floor. He is not strong and struggles ineffectually as you grind your heel into his neck. It snaps like a twig. Never again will Mance the Death Mage honour up children to sacrifice to his god Nemesis. With Honoric's sword you have rid Orb of its most powerful black magician. Leaving Sorcerak to smoke on the floor of the chamber, you descend the staircase of the turret, intent on finding Yemen and avenging your spiritual father. And you know what? My throat's getting a bit dry, so I'm going to take a moment here as we look at this image of Yemen ready for us. You know what? No, I will read this paragraph. Yeah. Honoric and Mance the Death Mage both lie dead, but your mission is not yet complete. It still remains for you to avenge your spiritual father and kill Yemen, Grand Master of the Flame, with the Order of the Scarlet Mantis. If you fail, he will speak the word of power at the Pillars of Change that will bind Kwon in Inferno. You walk down to the roof of the Great Keep. Yeah, sorry, I was talking for like 3 hours earlier tonight. Playing a role-playing game with some friends over Discord. Yeah, you know what? The World Health Authorities and local governments are saying, hey, you know, guys, stay indoors, don't go out too much. Guess what? We're gamers. We can play games over the internet. It's great. Right. 101. Not a meaningful number at all. No connotations whatsoever. But I'm just going to reach down to this bottle of water I've got here, have a quick swig, and continue. Might as well do a quick recording check. All seems good. As you pass through the archway at the bottom of the steps, you see Yemen on the roof of the Great Keep. He bears the mantis tattoo on his forehead, and wears the scarlet jacket and loose trousers of the Order of the Scarlet Mantis. He is in his middle years, but his body is supple and powerful. The corded muscles on his forearms ripple as he clenches his fists. He bows to you and then says, "You have been at your work, ninja." You return his bow, saying, "My tasks are not yet done." He smiles and replies, "I killed your spiritual father, as I had killed your real father when you were but a babe in arms. Now I shall kill you. No one has ever spoken to you of the death of your father, but Yemen's words only cause the desire for revenge to flare stronger within you. You master your anger and calm yourself, ready to give battle. Yemen has been Grand Master of the Flame for longer than your lifetime. You could not fear to meet a more experienced adept at the deadly way of the Mantis. His body is at a peak of perfection and his will is strong. You move towards him, realizing that this will be a battle like no other. Yemen's endurance is 20. Will you run to attack? Close and use poison needles if you have the skill, or unleash a stream of free shuriken if you have that many. I have 4. I'm going to throw 3 freaking ninja stars at his head. Or chest, or wherever they can land. But first off, I think he deserves to have his name down here by his life points. Yeoman has 20 life points. 20 endurance. Now, this is a tough fight. Unlike many of the others in the book, this fight is not resolved purely by dice rolls alone. This fight uses sequences of attacks and options instead. And it actually does proper attack sequences. It's not like just one move. It's like you'll unleash a series of moves and he'll respond with another series of moves. Very much in the vein, actually, of monks in 1st edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons performing attack sequences. And unarmed combatants performing attack sequences where an attack could generate additional attacks. And you keep going till you reach the end of an attack sequence, when the opponent would perform an attack sequence back. So, yes, throw 3 ninja stars at him. I will mark them off now because I suspect these ones I will not get to keep. I'm pretty sure these ones are just gone. Yeah. Also, we have 12 health. We need to be careful. 51. So this is a really tough fight. Okay. With lightning speed, your hand flashes through the air 3 times in rapid succession, and 3 shuriken fly towards Yeoman. Make a shuriken roll. Yeoman's defense is 6, so we're wanting a 7 or higher, and I really... Yes! This makes the fight so much easier. If you now, I can't remember the exact sequence, but there is a way of ending this fight in 3 choices. I cannot remember if this shuriken roll counts as one of those 3 attacks or not. But I do also remember that the Kwon's flail kick has been lost to the world for decades. Only when Tagawa the Mystic taught it to us will we be able to learn it. It is a move that Yeoman does not know about. However, we hit him with ninja stars. Hey, okay, that's got to make things a bit easier. Before we rush in and start punching and kicking and dying. The 3 shurikens speed towards Yeoman's throat, but with astounding timing he turns sideways and, raising his right forearm in front of his chest, passes his hand up and down through the... Wait, that was for success? Hang on a minute. That ain't right. 51. That ain't right. Did I go to the wrong section? I think I went to the wrong section. If you 378, if you fail to 40, just checking it's not got the instructions the wrong way around. 40, slightly off, and shuriken wish upon his head first to disappear in the night. Adroitly plucks the last one of the air and sends it spinning back at... No, I was correct. Okay, 378. Alright, let's go back there then. The 3 shurikens speed towards Yeoman's throat, but with astounding timing he turns sideways and, raising his right forearm in front of his chest, passes his right hand up and down through the air in a rapid flailing motion, using the back of his hand and the heel of his palm to deflect the shuriken without touching the blades, and they whir away into the night. Amazed as you are, you know you must act before he has finished concentrating on your stars. Will you use a poison needle or run to the attack? I will run to the attack because it gives me time to close. Otherwise he might have been able to do something nasty, as I was trying to... If I didn't throw ninja stars at him and tried to rush in and fight, I think... So that's 89. I think that it would have been a different paragraph to turn to. And he could have done something nasty. You cartwheel towards Yeoman and launch into the attack. Will you punch, kick, or throw? Now, as I said... He does not know the Kwon's flail kick throw. That being said, he is such an accomplished martial arts user that after receiving it the first time, he will have a perfect counter to it sorted out. So I can only use the Kwon's flail kick once. It will hit him harder than anything else I can do, and will be the perfect time to use inner force. However, to the best of my memory, in the 3 options to end the fight, I think the Kwon's flail kick comes second. But I can't say that for certain. And I think I need to use up all my inner force in this fight. He has 20 endurance, we have 12. And he will be hitting back. Throws may be our serious help here. But I'm going straight in with the Kwon's flail kick, I think. This is going to be really horrid. Okay, which kick will you try? The winged horse, the forked lightning strike, the leaping tiger, or the Kwon's flail if you know it? Now, when prompted to kick again, I will be sent to a different paragraph with a different Kwon's flail kick, or it will be if this is the second time you've tried to use this against him. So, you must decide now if you wish to use inner force. I am absolutely using inner force. Kwon's flail kick right in his face. Come on! After this, it's going to be all tits up. Goodness knows how it's going to go. Right. With incredible speed, you spin to the right on the ball of your left foot and whip your right heel around in an arc as if your leg were a chain and your foot a heavy metal ball. It smashes into the side of Yeoman's face with a crack, spinning his head round, the force of the blow sending him whirling away, barely able to remain on his feet. Subtract 8 from his endurance. Double this if you were using inner force! I was! From 20 endurance down to 4. That is a game changer right there. I mean, I know I suppose you could just call it a roundhouse kick, but it really worked. If he is still alive, you leap headfirst towards him and somersault in the air so that both your feet are hurtling towards him in a drop kick. At the last instant, he recovers and brings his right forearm across his face, sweeping your legs aside and down. You land nimbly, with your back to him, and acting quickly, whip your left foot up in an arc from left to right. This time, Yeoman ducks, and as you turn to face him, you drive a leaping tiger kick at his face. Yeoman, under pressure, rears back, avoiding your foot by inches, and somersaults backwards into his hands, and then to his feet, repeating these flips until he is well out of range. You pursue him, and when he comes to halt, you are ready to attack. Again, will you use Kwon's flail kick again? Turn to section 54. No! No. He does something really nasty if you do that. The forked lightning strike kick, the winged horse kick, a punch, or a throw. Right. I need to look at these now. The forked lightning kick is the 1-2. No leap at winged horse kick. I want a leaping tiger kick, but okay, we tried that already. Oh God. Right. How do I end this without taking 12 points of damage and dying? I think it's got to be a punch or a throw. Oh God. If it is a throw, I want to say Teeth of the Tiger, but he's good with his arm, so he'll knock that aside. Dragon's Tail throw, he might jump over it, or stamp on my bollocks or something. Whirlpool throw is quite basic, and you'd see that coming. I think Dragon's Tail, well, Teeth of the Tiger would be the least expected. Dragon's Tail throw might have the best chance of success, because he is a martial artist, he knows how the monks of the Way of the Tiger fight. And he's more of a praying mantis, so I'm thinking mantis arms up near his head. I want to, like, Cobra Strike punch, I think. So, we'll go for a punch. 266. Yeah, can I end this now? Which punch will you try? The Cobra Strike? Yes. You must decide now if you wish to use inner force. I do. This is my last point of inner force. Here we go. But this is the punch to end all punches, the punch to end the fight. If I kill him, it doesn't matter, my quest is at an end. As you step forward, Yaemon lashes his fist out towards your head, but you drop to one knee and drive a straight-fingered jab up into his midriff, just below his ribcage. He grunts in pain and doubles up. You spring to your feet, whipping your elbow up so that your right hand rests on your right shoulder, cracking him sharply under the jaw. Subtract 4 from his endurance. You may double this if you're using inner force. I don't need to. He is deadified! If he is dead, turn to section 420, otherwise the fight continues. Oh, yes. Ah, here we go, everyone. The moment we have all been waiting for. Yaemon falls, mortally hurt, to the stone roof of the great keep. The wind howls, and there is a clap of thunder. His face is suddenly lit up in a flare of the lightning, and strangely, he is smiling, calm in the face of death. He raises his voice above the sound of the driving rain. You are truly formidable, ninja. I have fought many great warriors. Your man-marcher father was one, but I triumphed over him as I did over all the others. You are about to ask him who your father was when he is racked by a fit of coughing which robs him of his last breath. Yaemon is dead, and you have succeeded in your mission. Your fame as Avenger will spread through the lands of Orb on the wings of fear, for you have killed 3 tyrants so powerful that they could hold the gods to ransom. Yaemon's scarlet jacket, now drenched with rain and sweat, has fallen open to reveal a waxed parchment, the scrolls of Kettsuin. You are about to open this when a wondrous feeling of peace overwhelms you, and the voice of your god Kwon sounds all around you. The Grand Master of the Dawn named you well, Avenger, for now it is Yaemon and not I who will languish in the lake of boiling blood in Inferno. If you had failed, the Doom Legion and the monks of the Scarlet Mantis would have swept across the Man-March, aided by the priests who revere Nemesis, and all mankind would have lived in terror under the evil lords you have slain. Your wounds are healed as if by a miracle, and new strength floods into your body as the god gives you inner force. You feel dazed and awed by what is happening, and the sense of Kwon's goodness fills your soul with enlightenment. There is little time now, Avenger, for the gods of evil move against us. You must return the scrolls of Kettsuin to their rightful place at the Temple of the Rock on the Island of Tranquil Dreams, but your journey will be beset with dangers. I will aid you. Choose a skill from the Way of the Tiger which you have not yet mastered, and I will grant you its knowledge. It shall be as if you had practiced it from your birthing. The god continues, I will aid you but once, at any time of great danger. If you truly have need of me, say only, Kwon redeem me, and I shall be your salvation. I will watch over you, Avenger, for it is my hope that one day you will join me in the Garden of the Gods. There's actually quite a lot of fourth wall breaking in there, but let's get our health back, get our inner force back. It's more overt that inner force is fully restored at that point. At the beginning of the second book, I think. And we'll get the skill of climbing, which would have been oh so very useful during this adventure. And also, Kwon redeem me once for use in the next adventure. As Kwon's presence leaves, you cannot stop yourself calling out, Who was my real father? It is as if the wind itself speaks to you as the voice of Kwon fades. It is not yet time, Avenger. You shiver, noticing the coldness of the rain for the first time. Kwon has departed and you are alone once more. With a shock you hear men's cries and the sound of mail-shod feet on the staircase of the keep. And that is the end of Book 1 of The Way of the Tiger. We shall continue with Book 2, Assassin, which has different cover art. But first, obviously, I'm going to record House of Hell, as I said I would. Now, I do hope you've all enjoyed playing with me the first book of The Way of the Tiger. And I will look forward to seeing you all in the next video. I'm going to say... Oh, yes, and do remember the disclaimer. Do not attempt any of the techniques or methods described in this book. They would result in serious injury or death to an untrained user. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye for now, everyone, and cheerio!